The mirror as a portal. A mirror is supposed to show you what's there: your face, your eyes, the curve of your mouth. But what if it shows something else? Something that shouldn't be there? Across cultures and centuries, the mirror has never been just a piece of polished glass. It has been feared, revered, worshipped, but above all, it has been seen as a portal, a threshold between worlds. Let's step into that threshold. Long before mirrors were made from glass, they were carved from stone, volcanic glass. Obsidian was a favorite material in Mesoamerican civilizations. The Aztecs believed their obsidian mirrors allowed them to see into the unseen, the future, the spiritual, the thoughts of others. These weren't vanity items, they were sacred, dangerous. Only the highest ranking priests and rulers were permitted to use them. One such figure, Tezcatlipoca, an Aztec god whose very name means smoking mirror. He was a god of sorcery, darkness, and conflict, associated with the obsidian mirror. Shamans would gaze into a polished black disk and wait for visions to arrive. But they never came quickly. It took hours of stillness, of silence, until the veil began to lift. This wasn't just metaphor. For those ancient peoples, the mirror didn't just symbolize a portal, it was a portal. The Chinese magic mirror. In ancient China, bronze mirrors were imbued with spiritual meaning. Some were inscribed with dragons, phoenixes, or symbols of immortality. But a strange phenomena made them more than just artistic relics. Some mirrors, when polished and exposed to sunlight, could project a hidden image from the back of the mirror onto a wall. The engraved pattern would appear through the solid bronze as if by magic. No one fully understood how this worked until the 20th century. To the ancients, this was alchemy, a miracle, proof that mirror held mysteries within. They were called magic mirrors, and owning one was said to bring either blessings or terrible misfortune, depending on how it was treated. Some emperors kept them in sealed boxes. Others used them in rituals to summon ancestors or appease restless spirits. Mirrors in this tradition were never casual objects. They were talismans and sometimes traps. The idea of a mirror as a divining tool appears across the world. In ancient Mesopotamia, polished bowls of water were used by priests to observe omens. The calm surface acted as a mirror, and when distributed, it could reveal signs from the gods. In Greco-Roman world, mirrors weren't just for grooming. They were windows into fate. A practice called catoptromancy involved lowering a mirror into water and asking the gods to show one's future reflection. If the face appeared distorted or absent, it meant death. To look into a mirror was to risk seeing too much. The psychological portal, where your mind opens the gate. Even today, you can experience something strange with nothing more than a dim room, a mirror, and time. This is called Caputo effect. named after psychologist Giovanni Caputo. If you stare into your own eyes in a mirror for about 10 minutes, especially in low light, your brain starts to distort what it sees. Faces melt, shadows flicker, your own expression might change. Some reports saying monstrous figures, others the face of a loved one. Some see no face at all. Why? Because your brain begins filling in the gaps. In low light, the visual system loses clarity. The mind, desperate to make sense of things, pulls from memories, fears, desires, and hallucinations begin. In ancient times, this would have been called a vision, a spiritual moment, a visitation. But ask yourself, if something does appear, does it matter if it came from your mind or from somewhere else? Why were mirrors covered? In many cultures, mirrors are covered during liminal moments, times when the veil between worlds thins. During death rituals, during childbirth, during storms or eclipses. These were moments of passage when spirits walk and the world becomes unstable. To leave a mirror exposed was to risk letting something through. This belief shows in Haitian voodoo, in Jewish mourning customs, in rural Appalachian folk magic. Despite oceans and centuries of separation, the idea remains the same. A mirror is an open door, and not every door should be left ajar. Even now, we whisper legends about mirrors. Bloody Mary, who light a candle, stand in the dark, say her name 3 times, and wait. No one quite knows where the legend came from. Some say it's Queen Mary I of England. Others think it's a garbled folk memory of death magic or necromancy. But why a mirror? Because something deep in our collective memory remembers. The mirror is not just glass. It's a looking glass, a threshold, a test. If you look long enough, someone might look back. So the next time you glance at your reflection, take a moment. Hold your gaze. Let the silence stretch. Ask yourself, not what do I see, but where am I looking? Because mirrors do not simply reflect reality. They reflect possibility. And some possibilities were not meant to meet. Mirrors and the dead. When someone dies, we close their eyes. We whisper prayers. We draw curtains. And in many cultures, we cover every mirror in the house. Not out of superstition, but out of fear. Ancient fear. The dead were never meant to linger, and the mirror was seen as one of the most dangerous places they could stay. In traditional Jewish mourning customs, mirrors are covered for 7 days during the Shiva, the mourning period. The reasons are layered. Out of respect, to avoid vanity during grief. Out of humility, to focus on the soul, not the self. And most chillingly, to prevent the soul of the deceased from getting trapped in the glass. It was believed that souls linger briefly after death, disoriented and searching. A mirror, with its strange mimicry of life, could trick the spirit into staying behind, lost, confused, and unable to move on. In old Russian villages, the moment someone died, the mirrors in the house were quickly veiled with black cloth. If the soul saw its reflection, it might not realize it has died. It could become stuck, or worse, it could begin pulling others into the mirror with it. Whispers warned of people who stared too long into an uncovered mirror after death and saw something move behind them, something that wasn't there. This wasn't just old wives' tales. It was protection for the soul, for the living. The Victorians, obsessed with both science and the supernatural, took death very seriously. When someone died, the house would enter a ritualized state of mourning. Clocks were stopped, curtains drawn, and every mirror was draped. Photographs were taken of the dead. Hair was woven into jewelry. But mirrors were hidden. Why? Because it was believed that the soul of the dead could use the mirror as a passage back into the world and haunt the household, or worse, pull a loved one in after them. In some accounts, people claimed to see the dead appear in mirrors long after the funeral, not as a memory, as a presence. Obsidian mirrors and the underworld. We return again to the Aztecs. Their mirrors were not just for vision, they were tools of necromancy. Priests would use obsidian mirrors to contact the spirits of the dead. The black surface was thought to resemble the void, the entrance to the underworld. They would fast, pray, burn incense, and stare. Some said the faces of the dead would appear. Others claimed to hear whispers. Some went mad. These mirrors weren't feared because they didn't work. They were feared because they did. Before metal, before glass, there was water. In many early cultures, water was used to commune with the dead, not just as a drink or ritual bath, but as a reflective medium. Shamans would sit beside lakes or wells and wait until the water stilled. Then they would gaze and listen. Still water, like a mirror, holds silence, depth, secrets, and when you stared long enough, it seemed to stare back. Greek myths often warned against looking into ponds in the underworld. To look was to remember. To remember was to weep. To weep was to stay. In many cultures, mirrors were believed to have memory. A room might be emptied. A person might pass away. But the mirror remained, watching, absorbing. There are legends in rural Appalachia and parts of Ireland of haunted mirrors, not because spirits lived in them, but because the mirror remembered every death it had witnessed. Some people refused to have mirrors in bedrooms at all. Others kept them perpetually covered and only uncovered them during daylight. Because who knows what the mirror might replay when you're alone in the dark. In some Eastern European customs, once the mourning period ended, the mirrors were slowly uncovered, one by one. The belief? If the soul of the deceased had moved on, the mirror would reflect cleanly. But if the reflection was distorted, or if the glass fogged without cause, it was a sign that the dead had not let go. People would stare into the newly uncovered mirror and murmur protective prayers, just in case something else was staring back. One haunting belief was that the reflection is not truly you, but your soul double. And when someone dies, their double departs. So, if after a death you were to look into a mirror and not see your reflection, it meant your double had already left. Your time was near. Alternatively, if you saw the dead in the mirror, standing behind you or beside you, it was said they were coming to fetch you. Mirrors are not passive. They participated in the transition between life and death. Even if you don't believe in spirits, echoes of these beliefs remain. Covering mirrors during thunderstorms, avoiding mirrors in dim hallways, not placing mirrors opposite your bed, feeling unsettled when a mirror faces another mirror, creating an infinite tunnel. Why do these still feel wrong? Because deep down your body remembers something your mind has forgotten. The mirror is a door, and death knows how to knock. Rituals and mirror divination. A mirror doesn't just reflect, sometimes it reveals not what is, but what could be, what waits, what hides, what's coming. Throughout the ancient world, mirrors were more than household objects. They were used in sacred rites, for prophecy, for healing, for seeing beyond the visible. This is the story of catoptromancy, the art of divination through mirrors. Ancient Greece, seeing through the surface. In the temples of ancient Greece, certain priests and priestesses were trained in obscure arts. One of them was catoptromancy, a practice of using a mirror to divine truth. The ritual often went like this. A bowl was filled with water. A polished mirror was placed in the bowl at an angle. The seeker would look into it, sometimes in complete silence, sometimes while chanting, fasting, or holding an object belonging to the person in question. And what they saw wasn't always their reflection. If the face appeared healthy and clear, it meant life, health, and good fortune. If the face appeared pale, distorted, or missing, it was an omen of death. This wasn't metaphor. These were oracles, and people built their lives around what the mirror showed. In ancient Rome, before battle, some commanders would visit mirror diviners. These were often women, believed to hold power as mediums between the living and the fates. They would perform similar rituals with water and mirrors, asking whether the men would return from war. Sometimes the reflection would show a corpse, other times a homecoming. In one famous case, a Roman noble supposedly fled battle the night before after seeing his own reflection submerged in darkness. He claimed the mirror had shown his funeral before it happened. Whether he avoided fate or fulfilled it anyway, no one knows. But the fear of the mirror's truth lingered. Many ancient mirror rituals were conducted at night, under moonlight. Why? Because the moon was believed to rule the subconscious, the emotional, and the hidden. Its soft, indirect light reflected off the surface of the mirror was thought to open portals to the spirit world. In Eastern European and Middle Eastern traditions, young women would gaze into mirrors by candlelight on certain nights, hoping to catch a glimpse of their future husband. But sometimes they saw someone else, a stranger, a shadow, or nothing at all. In Shinto, the indigenous religion of Japan, mirrors are sacred. One of the most revered artifacts in all of Japan is the Yata no Kagami, the 8-span mirror housed in the Ise Grand Shrine. According to legend, it was used to lure the sun goddess Amaterasu out of her cave, resorting light to the world. The mirror was not just a symbol of beauty or truth. It was a vessel for divine presence, an object so spiritually potent it was kept hidden from all but the highest priests. In Shinto shrines, mirrors are placed on altars not so the whisperer can see themselves, but so the kami, the spirits, can observe the purity of the space. To gaze into the mirror is to look with sacred eyes, and to be seen by something ancient in return. Before mirrors, there was always water. Ancient shamans across Siberia, Africa, and the Americas used bowls of still water to scry, to see visions. Water was live, reflective, fluid, and mysterious. These rules were strict. The room had to be silent. The water must be undisturbed. The seeker had to still their breath, their thoughts, their fear. They would stare into the water until the reflection faded and the visions began. Sometimes they saw images, sometimes heard voices, sometimes a shape would rise from the depths, not physically, but in the mind. Water, like mirrors, was a veil, a boundary, and with proper reverence you could part it. In the Middle East, Egypt, and parts of India, mirror trance rituals were used for healing and diagnosis. A healer would ask the patient to stare into a mirror while in a dark room. The flickering light of a single oil lamp would distort the reflection. The patient might begin to hallucinate or reveal things buried deep in their psyche. The healer, watching closely, would interpret. Shifts in the face meant emotional blockages. Shadowy intrusions mean spiritual interference. Calm, smooth transitions meant the illness was physical, not energetic. This wasn't superstition, it was medicine, blending psychology, intuition, and spirit. In parts of Africa and the Caribbean, mirrors were used in ancestral veneration rituals. Families would place mirrors on altars, sometimes next to food, incense, or family heirlooms. It was believed that the spirits of the ancestors could use the mirror as a medium to observe the living or even leave signs. A sudden crack in the glass, a message, a fogging that wouldn't clear, a warning, a drop of condensation forming an unfamiliar shape, an invitation. The mirror wasn't feared in these cultures. It was respected, treated as a living thing. The rules for mirror divination. Across time and space, certain patterns emerge. 1. Do it in silence. The more noise, the less the mirror reveals. 2. Do it alone. Mirrors are intimate. Too many energies confuse the message. 3. Use firelight, not electricity. Candlelight makes the wheel thinner. 4. Ask clearly. The mirror only answers what is asked with courage. 5. Never break eye contact. If you look away in fear, the door slams shut, or worse, opens further. These rituals weren't games, they were sacred acts. Modern echoes, mirror gazing therapy. Surprisingly, some of these ancient rituals have modern psychological parallels. Mirror exposure therapy is used in treating body dysmorphia, trauma, and grief. The patient sits in front of a mirror and is asked to observe themselves without judgment for extended periods. Tears often follow because seeing your true self, your aging face, your vulnerability, your unfiltered pain can be a form of divination too. You're not seeing the future. You're seeing the parts of yourself that the world taught you to hide. And that is its own kind of magic. In most traditions, mirror rituals end with a closing gesture, a breath blown across the surface, a cloth gently laid over the glass, a whispered thank you. Because the mirror is not just a tool, it is an entity, one that listens, one that shows, one that remembers. And if you don't close the ritual properly, it might keep listening. Mirrors in the dark. Daylight makes the world seem safe, familiar, predictable. But when night falls and everything quiets, mirrors begin to whisper. There is something inherently unsettling about a mirror in the dark. You know it's just your reflection. You tell yourself it's nothing, but your heart races. Your breath shortens. Why? Because when the lights go out, we return to something ancient. An inherited memory of fear. The kind of fear ancient cultures took very seriously. Let's step into that fear. In many parts of the world, looking into a mirror at night was strictly forbidden. In parts of West Africa, it was said that nighttime reflections showed your shadow spirit, the darker side of your soul, which could become detached. In Slavic folklore, if you saw movement in the mirror after sundown, it meant a spirit was watching you. In India, some rural traditions warn that seeing your reflection after midnight might invite wandering souls to attach to you. Why was nighttime so dangerous? Because night was a realm of spirits, and mirrors, like windows, could let things in. The Caputo effect revisited. Psychologically, we know that when you look into a mirror in dim light for long enough, your brain begins to betray you. This phenomenon is known as Caputo effect. Causes faces to warp and melt, eyes to darken or vanish, smiles to form that you didn't make. This is not magic. It's a trick of perception. But for our ancestors who didn't know about optical nerves or cognitive distortion, this was evidence of another world blending into our own. And even today, knowing the science doesn't make it any less terrifying. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the hidden unconscious parts of ourselves we refuse to see. In the dark, those parts arise, and in a mirror, they often appear. Some cultures believed mirrors could reveal your double at night. Not the conscious you, but the shadow version. The one filled with things you've repressed. Rage, shame, desire, fear. Seeing that reflection wasn't just spooky. It was spiritual danger. Mirrors and illusions. The mirror lies, but it also tells the truth. The problem is, we never know which is which. In ancient cultures, the mirror was not simply a tool of beauty or protection. It was a symbol of illusion. A reminder that what we see is not always what it is. Let's step into the world of illusions. A world where truth is slippery, and your reflection may be your greatest deception. Plato's cave and the mirror of shadows. The Greek philosopher Plato told the famous allegory of the cave. Prisoners chained from birth can only see shadows cast on the wall by objects behind them. To them, the shadows are reality. But when one prisoner is freed and sees the real world, he realizes the shadows were just illusions. The mirror operates the same way. It shows what appears, but not what is. It reflects light, shape, color, but not substance, emotion, or soul. To many ancient thinkers, the mirror was not a source of truth. It was a test. Could you tell the real from the false? Or would you, like the prisoners, mistake the image for a real thing? The Indian concept of Maya, the mirror of the world. In ancient Indian philosophy, particularly in Vedanta and Hinduism, the world is said to be a Maya, an illusion, a projection, a cosmic dream, and the mirror, a perfect metaphor. Scriptures describe the mind as a mirror. When it is disturbed by desire, fear, ego, the reflection becomes warped. You do not see reality. You see your expectations, your attachments, your illusions. To realize truth, one must clean the mirror of the mind. Only then you can see clearly, not just your reflection, but the truth behind it. The mirror isn't the enemy, it's the teacher. In Zen Buddhism, there are countless parables involving mirrors. One says, the mind is like a mirror. Dust settles on it daily. You must polish it to see. Another says, there is no mirror. There is no dust. There is only seeing. In this way, the mirror becomes a paradox. It reflects, yet it contains nothing. It shows you, yet it holds no form. It is empty, yet full of everything. The illusion, then, is not in the mirror. It's in the thinking that the mirror holds something real. In ancient world, illusionists and magicians often used mirrors to manipulate perception. In Egyptian temples, polished bronze was used to reflect light down dark corridors, creating sudden appearances of statues glowing with divine light. In medieval Islamic architecture, mirror tiles were used in domes and prayer halls to multiply space, creating a feeling of infinite vastness. These weren't just tricks, they were spiritual experiences, carefully designed illusions to elevate the soul or humble the ego. In both cases, the mirror created something that wasn't really there. The mirror as a trickster. In many African and Native American traditions, mirrors were associated with trickster spirits, entities that could change shape, reverse appearances, or mimic others. In West African tales, the mirror is a gate of reversal, where truth is flipped and nothing is as it seems. In certain stories, mirrors of eyes are said to show your true form, but only if you don't flinch. The mirror here becomes a character, a living, mischievous force. It doesn't just reflect you, it tests you. Modern psychology supports what the ancients intuited. We do not see things as they are, we see them as we are. When you look into a mirror, you expect to see a flaw, so you do. You anticipate shame, and your posture shrinks. You crave affirmation and miss the subtle signs of fatigue. The mirror doesn't lie, but it echoes your projection. That's why staring at your reflection can be both hypnotic and dangerous. Because after a while, you're no longer seeing your face, you are seeing your beliefs. In Greek mythology, the beautiful youth Narcissus saw his reflection in a pool of water and fell in love. Unable to look away, he wasted away and died, still staring at himself. This story isn't just about vanity, it's about illusion. He mistook the reflection for a real other, and in doing so lost touch with reality. The pool acted as a mirror, but it didn't love him, it couldn't hold him, it could only mimic. To the Greeks, this was a cautionary tale. Fall in love with an illusion and it will consume you. In ancient Persia and India, royal palaces often included mirror chambers, rooms covered wall to wall with tiny mirrors. The effect was dazzling. The smallest candle would illuminate the entire space. But these rooms weren't just beautiful, they were tests of perception. Courtiers who entered these chambers had to walk carefully. Too fast, and they would lose orientation. Too slow, They'd start seeing reflections that weren't their own. Some rooms were built with deliberate distortions, curved mirrors, hidden doorways, echo chambers. The message was clear. Not everything that shines is real. Not every reflection is yours. Today, we carry mirrors in our pockets, our phones, front-facing cameras, filters, reflected versions of ourselves carefully curated, smoothed, enhanced. And yet, people report greater feelings of disconnection than ever. We no longer recognize ourselves through the filter. Just like nurses, we are falling in love with the illusion and forgetting what's real. So ask yourself, when you look into the mirror, are you seeing yourself, or what you want to be, or what you feel you are? The mirror holds nothing, but you project everything. And that, ancient cultures knew, is the real illusion. The mirror and the self. You see yourself, or at least that's what you tell yourself. But ancient cultures knew better. Sometimes the reflection isn't you. Sometimes it's something else entirely. The mirror has always been tied to identity. But for many ancient peoples, that connection was not comforting, it was dangerous. Because to see yourself too clearly was risk losing something you couldn't get back. Across cultures, one idea appears again and again. Your reflection holds a piece of your soul. In parts of ancient Africa, it was believed that mirrors could steal the soul if stared into too long. In Australian Aboriginal stories, water reflections were sacred. Children were warned never to disturb them, or they might lose their dream self. Among Polynesian tribes, reflections were associated with mana, a kind of spiritual power. To trap a reflection was to weaken the person. This belief wasn't just symbolic, it was real, tangible. To look too long into your own eyes in a mirror was to risk detachment, and detachment meant danger. Mirrors as cosmic balances. To most of us, a mirror is just a way to see ourselves. But in ancient traditions, mirrors weren't about the self at all. They were about balance, harmony, the reflection of the universe itself. Mirrors in these cultures were tools to reflect, not vanity, but cosmic truth. Instruments of alignment, sacred symbols of duality, used not to feed the ego, but to restore the balance between worlds. Let's explore the mirror as a cosmic compass. In Chinese Feng Shui, the placement of mirrors is not random. It's powerful. Mirrors are believed to reflect and redirect energy, multiply blessings or troubles, protect entrances from negative forces. One of the most iconic tools is the Bagua mirror, an octagonal mirror often placed above doorways. Its purpose? To repel destructive energy, to reflect chaos back to where it came from. But the mirror must be placed with care. A mirror facing your bed, your front door, or another mirror can cause imbalance, spiritual and psychological. Because mirror doesn't just reflect things, it magnifies them. Yin and Yang, the universal mirror. In Taoist cosmology, balance is everything. Yin and Yang are not opposites, they are complementary forces. Night and day, water and fire, stillness and motion. The mirror is a perfect metaphor. It doesn't choose a side, it holds light and darkness equally. It creates harmony through reversal, flipping left to right, front to back. Some Taoist monks meditated in front of mirrors to observe how the self dissolved into the whole. Not a person standing apart from nature, but a ripple within it. To see yourself clearly was not the goal. It was to see how you fit within the cosmic design. In Hinduism, mirrors are used in several rituals, especially those involving the divine feminine, Shakti, transformation, or marriage. Brides are often gifted small hand mirrors as symbols of inner reflection. During certain festivals, deities are adorned with polished mirrors behind their statues to symbolize the infinite aspect of the divine. In Tantric traditions, the mirror is a representation of Maya, illusion, the veil that separates spiritual seeker from the ultimate truth. But it's not meant to deceive. It's meant to train the eye to see beyond the form, beyond the flicker of light, into the balance between real and unreal. In Tibetan Buddhist teachings, the mirror is used as a symbol of the mind in its purest form. Clear, untouched, reflective but not attached. The mirror reflects all things, beautiful or ugly, without judgment. This is mirror-like wisdom, one of the 5 wisdoms in Vajrayana Buddhism. Practitioners strive to cultivate this mental clarity, to reflect reality exactly as it is, without clinging to pleasure or fleeing from pain. Why we still fear the mirrors today? We know the science. We understand the psychology. Mirrors are just glass and metal, nothing more. But still, something inside us flinches. Why? Why in an age of logic and data and electricity do mirrors still make us uneasy? Because the mirror was never just an object. It was and always has been a confrontation. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a horror film that didn't use a mirror? A mirror jump scare. A character looks in the mirror, turns away, turns back. Something's behind him. Or worse, something's in the mirror that isn't in the room. Why is it so effective? Because even without ghosts or monsters, we instinctively fear the delayed reflection, the flicker that doesn't belong, the possibility that the mirror might not agree with what's real. It's not the special effects that scare us. It's the echo of older beliefs. The mirror as a portal, a trap, a lie. You don't have to believe in spirits to feel disturbed by a reflection. Psychologists call it mirror anxiety, a subtle discomfort when you walk past a mirror and catch a glimpse of yourself unexpectedly. You spend too long looking into your own eyes. You begin to notice things, small asymmetries, odd shadows, expressions that feel unfamiliar. Many people report feeling like they are being watched when they are alone with a mirror. And in some cases, they are by themselves. And that's often scarier than being watched by someone else. There's a psychological phenomenon called the uncanny valley. When something looks almost human, but not quite, and it makes us deeply uncomfortable, now apply that to your own reflection. You move, but your brain questions whether it moved exactly the way you did. You smile, but for a second the smile looks false. You blink, but it feels too slow. This creates a moment of dissociation, a sense that you in the mirror is not entirely you. And in that gap, fear enters. In modern clinical psychology, mirrors play a painful role in body dysmorphic disorder. People with BDD obsess over flaws in their appearance, many of which are invisible to others. They may check mirrors constantly or avoid them completely. They may see distorted versions of themselves that don't match reality. This is not vanity, it's trauma reflected. Ancient cultures might have called this a spiritual imbalance, a curse of perception, a fractured soul. Today, we call it a mental health disorder. But the root experience remains the same. The mirror reflects something you didn't expect to see, and it hurts. Even now, people cover mirrors during grief or depression, avoid mirrors in dark rooms, prefer to check the appearance in their phone screen, not an actual mirror. Feel discomfort with antique mirrors, especially those with blackened edges or warped reflections. We pretend it's aesthetic, but it's not. It's residual fear, inherited, cultural, ancient. In a world of therapy and self-development, mirrors are sometimes used deliberately. In trauma recovery, mirror exposure therapy asks patients to look at themselves gently and with compassion. In self-love rituals, affirmations are spoken into the mirror, not because the mirror changes, but because you do. In guided meditation, people are invited to imagine the mirror not as glass, but as a witness, a companion, a boundary. This work is powerful and difficult because the mirror not only shows your face, but your resistance, your fear, your doubt, and maybe your potential. You can explain the kaput effect with neuroscience. You can describe optical illusions with diagrams. But no amount of data changes how it feels when you glance at the mirror in the dark and see something move. Wake up at 3 a.m. and feel a presence near the glass. Avoid looking into your own eyes because it feels like someone else is there. We are, at our core, creatures of story, and mirrors have always been part of that story. Ironically, we carry a mirror with us at all times. Our smartphones, front-facing cameras, live filters, real-time editing of our appearance. We manipulate our reflections more than ever before. But does that make us more comfortable or more afraid? More disconnected or more prone to questioning what we really look like or who we really are. The modern mirror doesn't show you what's real. It shows you what you want to be, or worse, what you fear others say. So here we are, thousands of years after the first obsidian mirror was carved, after the gods were summoned through bronze, the dead were mourned through cloth, and futures were glimpsed through flame and water. And still, we hesitate. We look quickly. We look away. Because the mirror hasn't changed, we have. But some part of us still remembers that it's not just a tool. It's not just glass. It's not even just us. It's a place where what's hidden can become seen, and not everything that's seen is safe. The mirror you don't look into. We all have one, a mirror we don't look into. Maybe it's in the attic, maybe the hallway, maybe it's just metaphorical. But we know it's there. Not because we are superstitious, but because something in us remembers. Something older than memory, older than culture. A whisper passed down through time, etched in obsidian and smoke. That these are some reflections we are not meant to see. Across the ancient world, mirrors were not mundane. They were portals to the dead, tools of prophecy, weapons against the unseen, symbols of divine truth, triggers of madness, guardians of the soul. We feared them, we revered them, we covered them, we prayed before them. Because the mirror didn't just show us what we look like, it showed us who we are and who we might become if we weren't careful. There are always those who couldn't look away. Priests, mediums, outcasts, madmen, seekers. They sat in dark rooms for hours, waiting for the surface to change. Some claimed to see visions. Others went silent. Still others saw something they never described. In ancient scrolls, they were called mirror gazers. In folklore, they became cursed or blessed, depending on what they brought back from the other side. They remind us the mirror does not just reflect, it responds. Have you ever looked into a mirror in a dream? Sometimes your reflection is normal. Sometimes it's not you. Sometimes it's something watching you from the other side. Even in sleep, your brain remembers the rule. The mirror is a boundary, and boundaries can be crossed. These are dreams where people wake up screaming after seeing their own eyes glow or disappear. Dream researchers say it's just a subconscious processing identity. But ancient cultures would tell you otherwise. They'd say, you saw the other half, and it saw you. In some houses, there's that one mirror always covered during thunderstorms, or during illness, or after a death. People say it's habit, or custom, or just a design choice. But if you ask them why, really why, they'll pause. They'll shrug. They'll say, I don't know, it just feels better that way. And that feeling, That's ancestral memory. That's a wisdom passed down in gestures instead of words. It's what tells you to look away, to keep the mirror veiled, to not find out what might be waiting behind the glass. So, what happens if you look? Really look? You might see your face. You might see your pain. You might see your potential. Or you might see something else entirely. Something with your eyes, but not your mind, not your name. And the worst part? It might smile. Mirrors don't threaten, they don't chase, they don't speak, but they wait. They wait until you're quiet, tired, vulnerable, until the lights are low and your defenses down. Then, just for a moment, they open, and when they do, you'll know this truth. You were never alone in the room. You never have been. A mirror hangs quietly in a room you've never entered. It has no frame, no dust, just darkness behind the glass. You can stand before it if you like, but don't expect a greeting. And whatever you do, don't be the one who blinks first. This has been Midnight Mind. If you've stared too long at your own reflection, let us know in the comments what stared back. Until next time, stay curious, stay strange, and whatever you do, keep the mirrors covered at night.